Hey everyone, welcome into Bleacher Talk. I'm Claudia Collins alongside Jordan Spurgeon. And we have a jam-packed show today. We head out to Perry High School and get a look at, how they emphasize mental health in their football program and a little look at, what their football program is all about outside of that. And then, of course, we have our social spotlight with Eliav Gabai. But we like to start with one of Arizona's favorites. As always, we've got Bruce Cooper with us today for quick picks and just going over some of our scores from last week. I'll take it. I'm in dead last, 3-3 record right now. So 3 wins, 3 losses. Spurge 4-2. So you're in a good spot right now. And Coop, coming off vacation, still going strong. You're 6-0, perfect record.
Ooh.
So the bar has been set high for you, and I've been there before, and I don't feel sorry, or I feel sorry for you, actually, I should say, with that pressure. But Bruce, I mean, you think you're going to keep it going this week?
Lady Luck has certainly smiled upon me, and I just know the big bug is coming to bite me pretty soon, and it probably will start this week, no doubt.
Burge, how you feeling? Kind of sitting pretty in the middle there.
Yeah, I think sometimes just being in the middle, you're in striking distance. You make a couple gambles here and there. You either fall a little bit or you climb the ladder. So gonna stick to my gut instincts for now. As we get later in the season, if you're still in that spot, it's time to get a little riskier with the picks and kind of go for broke. But I feel pretty good in the spot.
I texted Spurge before getting on to film, and I was like, "Oh, I want to be in last place after last season. I think that's good." And he goes, "We'll see." I said, "Okay."
Different strategy.
But anyways, let's see how we do after this week. Bruce, I'll have you start off with our first game, Desert Edge at Highland.
Desert Edge at Highland, huh? Well, look, the Scorpions are riding pretty high. I mean, 2-0, and Hezekiah Melander is really, really showing out at that quarterback position, and he has the Scorpions flying high. I mean, the Carter twins have done a fantastic job over there, but I do like Brock Farrell and his Highland Hawks. A couple of reasons. First, they lost last week to a Utah team, 13-0. Not too familiar with that team, how good they are, anything like that. But I do know that Highland, they fly to the ball still defensively. I mean, they're defending 6A champions, and they hung their hats on their defense. And look, even though they had some losses through graduations and people moving on to some power conference schools, this team still knows how to play defense. And I think that's going to serve as well. Plus, we're miking up Brock Farrell this week. So they got to win, right? He's the coach that's mic'd up for the week. So I'm going to take the Hawks in a low-scoring game. Give me Highland 20, Desert Edge 10.
All right, Spurge, where do you stand on this game?
Yeah, Bruce, you really hit on it all. I mean, Highland obviously graduating their 3-year starter at quarterback, but like you said, defensively, they got some dudes out there. Joseph Allen in the back end. You got Cooper Scott up there at defensive end, really getting after the quarterback. You got Caleb Lemieux on the offensive line. I mean, they've just got so many dudes, and they're coming off a 6A title. They're a team that is hungry to potentially get into the open this year, but so is Desert Edge, and the Carter twins have this team ready to roll. As you mentioned, Hezekiah Melander, he is a really great quarterback as a sophomore. But like you said, this is going to be his first real test with a defense that is going to be hard to overcome. They're going to get pressure on him. They're going to cover receivers. I like the talent matchup with both teams. I think it's fairly even, but because of the experience on the defensive side, I am going to roll with the Highland Hawks. Close game, probably 23-20. It comes down to the wire. I think they just make a big stop at the end of the game.
I think overall we have very similar feelings. However, I am happy that my original choice is different than both of yours. You highlighted a lot of the points that I wanted to, but going out and seeing Desert Edge in summer practices, I was really impressed with how bought in the team is. And I haven't seen them play in their first 2 games of the season. However, they have a lot of new talent, whether it be transfers from California or other in-state schools that are really impressive. Kezion Dia-Johnson being one of them, Caleb Jackson Carter. I know there's more names. Those are the 2 that are coming to mind right now. But really impressed with just how they're bought in and what they're preaching for this season. And to echo what you're saying, I actually do think this is probably one of the better matchups we've talked about so far this season as far as quick picks go, because I do think that we're all in agreement it's going to be a close game. But I'm going to take Desert Edge 20-14. So we'll see. Either that's going to make me fall further down the line or bring me up a little bit. But the next matchup is Queen Creek at Pinnacle. Spurge, I'll let you lead this one off.
Yeah, this is going to be an exciting game. Both teams kind of at the top of the 6A. That's where we're going to see them by the end of the year. I think one of them has a legit shot at the Open based on how things play out. I got to see Queen Creek last week at Saguaro, and they really impressed me. Travis Sherman has those guys playing extremely physical football at every level on offense and defense. Quarterback Mitch Radigan is the real deal. He makes clutch throws when he needs to. Defensively, they've got so many dudes that just hit hard. Like, you can tell when you're on the high school football field which guys just have that extra oomph on hits. And there was a few of them against Saguaro where you could have heard it down the street despite the rain and the thunder and lightning that was going on, because there was plenty of it on the field with them. And obviously Pinnacle has tons of playmakers, Miles Libman, Deuce Robinson, to name just a few on that team. But I do think right now Queen Creek is going to come off a high against Saguaro. I do think that they just have that it factor with them, and I think they're going to come away with this one. It'll be low scoring, and I'm going to say they're going to win 17-10.
Okay, again, an agreement, it seems like here. I've got to say, Spurge, I'm actually surprised to hear you pick Queen Creek. When we were putting these together, I was like, oh, Spurge is going to go Pinnacle for sure, since we got to go out and see that scrimmage. Obviously, I'm sure I'm speaking for all of us. We're all impressed by Deuce Robinson, whether that's as a leader on the team, his multi-sport athleticism, all of that. But looking at just how Queen Creek has performed so far this season, I think we're all a little bit, I don't want to say surprised, pleasantly surprised maybe, but having to postpone that game, Pinnacle having to postpone that game against Liberty last week, I don't know if that played into the loss. Obviously, something like that isn't something we typically expect when it comes to Arizona high school football. Very seldom do we have rainouts, especially in football. But I have to agree. Once I saw the final score for Queen Creek Saguaro, I thought, Queen Creek's doing something different this season, but I do think it's going to be a pretty similar score to that Queen Creek Saguaro game. So I'm going to go even closer than the last game, but also low scoring. Queen Creek winning 20 to, I guess I'll say 15, just to not have the exact same score as the last game. But Bruce, what are you thinking?
Well, I think you guys are right on the money there. I mean, obviously, Deuce Robinson is one of the more ballyhooed players in the state. I think he's the number 1 recruit in the state. I mean, look, this guy's been on the watch list since his freshman year over there. I mean, when you're 6'8" and you're have the athleticism he has, look, they're going to come knocking at your door. I think Elijah Page is already, the offensive lineman there is already committed. And I believe it's Notre Dame, if memory serves me correctly. But at any rate, they don't lack for talented players over there at Pinnacle. But I think Spurge hit the nail on the head. I mean, Travis Sherman has those guys playing some rugged, tough nose defense, and I just like I liked in the Highland matchup with Desert Edge. Gave Highland the edge for defense. I'm going to do the same here with Queen Creek. Another low-scoring game. I see a 17-14 win for Queen Creek.
All right, and the last game that we have might see how things shape up after this one. Casa Grande at Central. I guess I'll lead this one off. I got to see Casa Grande a lot last season, but a lot has changed for them. They might have won that 4A state title, but they lost their star quarterback, Angel Flores, who's now at NAU. He's a guy who I was really impressed with, and kind of just like your eyes, I mean, they always gravitate towards the quarterback, but he really is a quarterback that'll catch your eye. I'm not sure yet if I feel full confidence like I did with Angel with their quarterback situation now. And now they've moved up from 4A to 5A, which presents a huge new challenge, but one that I do think that they're up for. I can't say that I know too much about Central. They're starting off with the same record, 2-0. So I do think that this is a good matchup and a good one to gauge where either team stands. However, I think just Central having, man, I guess I haven't really decided what I want to do here, but I think I probably will go just because of the uncertainty and all of the newness that's happening at Casa Grande. I think I'm going to go Central. Also low scoring, but I think I'll go 21-10. Bruce, what do you think?
Well, look, you talked about the changes over there at Casa Grande, but I tell you what, Mark Luna, the head coach over there, he can't get much better than what he's done so far. 42-0 win over Maricopa in week 1. Guess what? 42-0 win last week over Betty Fairfax. So they've yet to be scored upon, but that'll change this week. Central's quarterback, I mean, he's a really, really small guy, but I mean, he's lightning quick, love his feet, love his competitiveness. I think the guy's just a fantastic leader. He transferred in at Notre Dame. He's really changed the vibe and the culture over there at Central. So I'm gonna go with Coach Hovick and his Bobcats, and I'm going to take them to win 24-14.
All right,
Central.
Do we disagree?
No, I think we're on the same page. I'm very impressed with Casa Grande's defense so far through the year. Back-to-back shutouts. That's not a knock on that. But Central High School has turned a page. Last year going 7-3 with Dominic Bogchi, their quarterback, at the helm after he transferred over. And he just brings that new energy. And Chandler Hovick has his guys bought into everything they're overcoming. Friday was a really long day for them. Not only did they deal with the rain, but there was chaos on campus. People weren't sure exactly what happened. There was an altercation and people were, forced to be on lockdown in that area. And then they still traveled up to face North and they won 41-0. And so they were really dialed in. And that tells me that Coach Hovick has this team ready to play no matter what the circumstances are within the locker room, outside the locker room. And I just think they've got some dudes on the line on both sides. And I just think they're a little on a different trajectory within 5A as a team that's been on the upswing for the last few years as Casa Grande's kind of coming into 5A. I do think Central is going to win this game somewhere in the ballpark of 24-13.
I don't know if we've ever been in such agreement over over 3 matchups, even on the one that we weren't all in agreement on. I think that we're close in scoring and all of that. So this should be interesting to see how all of this shakes up. But Bruce, we're so happy to have you on. As always, stick with us. When we come back, we'll have more from Perry High School.
Welcome back to Bleacher Talk. I'm Jordan Spurgeon alongside Claudia Collins, and we're going to change things up a little bit for this week's show. I know a lot of you know us as the goofballs, and we're bringing out all the fun interviews. That's not going anywhere this season. We got plenty of that coming up. But we did want to take the time to talk about Suicide Awareness Month. I know a lot of people in the football community in Arizona have been affected in recent years. So Claudia, I know you and I just kind of stumbled into this, but we, started talking and we were able to get out to Perry High School and just kind of see like how students are dealing with this.
Yeah, Perry High School is a school that we know has been unfortunately deeply affected by suicide within the football program. And, we kind of heard about it and also knew that Perry was going out of their way as a school to emphasize the importance of taking care of students' mental health. And the football program has weekly meetings in a wellness room that Spurge, I know you and I both agree, like we got the chance to go in the room and kind of sit in on a meeting. And just immediately when we walked in, I think we felt a sense of relief. Like it was just such a calming space. It like almost, I don't know if anyone, I feel like you use the Calm app, or is that just, I know Brad has mentioned using the Calm app before, but I just feel like I walked into like a live Calm app. And the woman over there that we got to speak to that is a social worker leading the program at Perry was wonderful. We learned a lot from her as well, but just love the idea of a high school and a high school football team being proactive about taking care of students' mental health and erasing any stigma that goes around being vulnerable. This was not something that I think either of us got to have while we were in high school.
Yeah, definitely didn't have it. They were talking to us today. And by the way, for those who kind of watching, okay, we're going to see this. You're going to see this on Saturday. It'll be on our website, sports360az.com, with the Perry football program going through this experience together. But really, it's something that it started with. It's open to all students, and the football players kind of knew about it here and there. You could go about it, but they didn't really know. And so Coach Ortiz, that was one of the first things he did there through the summer camp, realizing his players needed some extra help away from football, was to create a space where his team uses some of their football class time to go talk to whoever they need to talk to in that safe space. So I really appreciate it, because I know growing up in the age where those numbers of suicide have skyrocketed among teens because of, I'm not going to get into the reasons why, but this is something that we've talked about. A lot of people talk about, it's caused a lot of issues. And so having that safe space is good. When I went through to high school, it was something that you somewhat thought about, but freshman year, I had a cheerleader at my high school that sat literally right across from me in my geometry class, commit suicide before Christmas. My senior year, 2 weeks before graduation, a dancer, same thing. And you never really talk about it. So it's something that it gets you thinking at different times. Like, I wonder how everybody dealt with that. And I think whether you know them personally or not in the situations, it's something that people need to talk about, especially in a football team where you guys are going to war together every Friday, and you're going through summer camps and spring camps, and maybe you're missing one of your buddies, and you haven't had a chance to talk about it. So I think for them to have that, it's really, really powerful, and something that I think a lot of programs are going to need, because I know this too. We talk about staying inside when it's so hot is really tough. Well, a lot of people have been staying inside since the pandemic began, and they're hesitant to go outside. And so things like that continue to happen. So I think it's more and more of an issue that I'm hoping more schools like Perry continue to try to address.
And one thing that I want to emphasize, and that I've learned just personally over the last few years, and being in and out of, trying therapy and trying to seek advice and help, is that no problem is too big or too small to seek advice or seek therapy or help. I think I used to struggle with well, I am not clinically diagnosed with depression, or my life is pretty good. I'm overall happy, but there's still things that I battle. And I used to tell myself I'm not allowed to feel this way because I should feel fortunate. And obviously I still see that side of it, but I think that one thing that this mental health program that we got an inside look at today was that it's not just about suicide prevention, which is obviously something that kind of pushed this happening, but that any problem or anything that you're facing is valid, and that you can feel whatever you're feeling. And on some days, I'm sure guys are going in happy and they don't have a problem in the world, and then a week later it could be totally different. And that's just something that I think, as an adult and as someone who has suck out therapy, I'm finally coming to terms with it's okay to not be okay, which I know we hear all the time, and it might sound cheesy, but it's so true. And you don't always have to tell yourself oh, things are supposed to be so black and white. That's just not the way it is. And so I think I also want to emphasize that while it is Suicide Prevention Month, and that we do want to highlight the importance of like checking on your friends and internally looking and seeing how things are going for yourself, that the small things matter too.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest takeaway I had, was just they were learning. I think the lesson this time was grief and what you would want to learn different before going through an experience like that. And I think most of them said it made me want to check in on everybody as much as I can now. And they seem like they're a tight knit group that does that a lot. I think we talked with Aiden Herring, and he says something along the lines of, we take it seriously, but we're able to be in there and be ourselves. And I think it's the most powerful thing that we can do. It's not a direct quote, but somewhere along those lines. And so, yeah, it's a really cool outlet, and I can't wait for you guys to see kind of what they're doing. And I hope those of you involved in those decisions at other schools across the state of Arizona or anywhere else really decide that, there is a reason to put resources into that, because everyone needs it. And a lot of times being open and starting those conversations starts in high school, when you start teaching kids to be okay with putting themselves out there for certain situations, just so that they don't have to experience as many of those things down the road, whether it's preventable or not.
100%. And just to reiterate, this Saturday we'll be releasing what we originally planned to put on Bleacher Talk, but we thought we want to put our best time and effort and best foot forward with this. So just wanted to give you our overall thoughts and essentially tease what's to come on Saturday as we release the story out of Perry High School and how they're implementing this program over there.
Yeah, always staying on our feet here on Bleacher Talk. It's something different every week. So a little bit different in this B segment, but I hope you guys stick around, because up next we've got Social Spotlight, and our man Eliav Gabai is back to bring us all the social hits. I'm so excited. So definitely stay tuned for that. Welcome back to Bleacher Talk. I'm Jordan Spurgeon alongside Claudia Collins, and now it's time for Social Spotlight with our man Eliav Gabai. He's already getting us amped up.
Are we all doing this now?
Let's go. Screenshot that. Yeah. Eliav, we're excited to see what you got for us.
Yes. We're going to jump right into it. We have a lot of fun ones to get to, and then some important messages. But starting with the fun ones, shout out Perry Athletics for this new tradition. We always love new traditions in high school football, and this one is fun. Game day jerseys for a teacher that has impacted you. You got to love it. It's very plain and simple. I'm sure we have a couple teachers that we would have given them to back in the day as well.
I've got to say my favorite teacher was my third grade teacher. So I don't know if I would have been giving a jersey at that time. We'd have to put a little bit more thought into, the high school one. But I love this because honestly, teachers just don't get enough appreciation. So I feel like anytime that a student athlete, a parent can show a teacher that they appreciate them and that they admire what they do, because it is hard work. Like, let's do it. I'm all for it. But Spurge, do you have like a favorite teacher in mind?
Shout out Mrs. Sovacol, Marietta Mesa. She was the best. But I have to wonder too, what happens when they pick the same teacher? Does she or he have to like choice? Is it first come, first served? Do you have a backup option? Is there only one teacher you like? Like, there's a lot that goes into that, but it's like really cool they get to do that. The teacher gets to pick their favorite really in the end of the day. So
that would definitely cause some problems. I think we stick with the student athletes choosing.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna keep it rolling. We love the new traditions. We don't love the bad weather, and this segment's going to be called Rain, Rain, Go Away. Okay, maybe Claudia likes this rain. I don't know. I don't love it. I'm an LA kid. We're spoiled in Arizona. All we have to deal with is the occasional haboob and the intense heat, but definitely made last Friday very interesting. Definitely a lot of lightning delays, a lot of rain delays, and some dramatic photos and video as well. But can't complain. And as Spurge got on camera, did not stop any of the fans at all.
And I apparently paid financing for a $9 camera bag. So shout out to Ralph Hampton and Claudia.
Yeah,
I
if you
definitely
get a
did
chance to
finance
listen to
that.
the wording, if you listen to the wording,
I can't
it
unhear it.
really, yeah, it really sounds like it. But
It was a
you're
lot of
smart.
fun. I
You're
even asked
smart.
Devin Dampier like what it was like when I did a Twitter live with him after, and he's like, all of us going into the locker room when it's raining like that, kind of gross. It's really hot and mucky in there. So definitely a lot of bonding time for the guys. But the rain, it's something different.
I kind of liked it. I mean, it was 75 degrees. Like
Yeah.
it was 105 earlier in the day. So for it to cool down, that was nice. Obviously, like having to wait in my car, as we see in one of the tweets that I posted, kind of just waiting, like, should I stay or should I go? Like, what do I do? And kind of just because I was planning on always going to 2 games, that kind of threw a fork in my plans a little bit. But I think it's kind of like fun. And the rest of the season, knock on wood, we probably won't see rain. So it's, a one-time thing. It's going to be memorable. And I think players had fun with it, I guess, besides the locker room.
Clip that when it rains on Friday this week, okay?
I'm about to say, put it on the pin board. All right.
I will have my rain jacket closer to me if rain is in the forecast, because I was only like out from undercover for like 2 minutes and it looks like I swam in a pool. So yeah.
I had my very, very nifty trash bag with me with the hole in the middle for the camera, all the works. We made it happen, but another thing I got to see when I was out at Desert Mountain at Camelback was, first of all, this month it's been all about suicide prevention. That's been a theme across all, at least what we've seen from Arizona high school athletics. And at the game I was at, they also shouted out a late student athlete and former teammate Nze West, and showed their respects for him wearing all green for parts of the game. And the coaching staff was wearing green. The cheerleaders had green, and so did the players. And obviously, a very meaningful message right there. And then on top of that, all across social media, we saw student athletes giving their messages about, if you are feeling alone, say something, and an importance of mental health. And me personally, I think this is more important than anything else we got going on. This is the way to help this kind of situation. It's generational, and it's something that starts with us and with the youth. If anyone is feeling alone or feel like you don't have anyone to talk to, you can always call or text 602-248-8336 for help. And just proud this is getting attention,
Yeah, Spurge, I know for you that you've emphasized mental health in the past, just, that's kind of a storyline you've gone with. And I know that we all at Sports 360 AZ like really care about not only our individual well-being, but each other's. And I think, who is close to you? Who do you have an open line of communication with? Like keeping your friends close and being open about the things that you're experiencing. Whether it's big or small, like it all matters. And I think that's something that, I guess if we're getting personal here, that I've come to learn over time, that like little things hurt sometimes and it's okay to feel that way. And you're definitely not alone. So Eliav, I think it's great that you're emphasizing this, and that with Bleacher Talk, I know we like to have fun with it, but it's kind of nice to switch things up and really show that we care and provide an outlet. And hopefully it's helping someone. But Spurge, I know that this is something that you've also emphasized quite a bit in the past.
Yeah, it's bigger than sports. And so seeing it at the high school level, I think we've seen it a lot at the pro level now. We've seen it at the college level, and we're seeing it more and more at the high school level where, people are talking about it. Earlier in this show, that was part of what was going on at Perry High School and talking to Coach Ortiz and those guys. And so I think just letting people know that they have that avenue to talk to people. And if they want to share their stories, if they just want to have people to listen to them, if they just want to listen to others battling the same thing, there's so many outlets that can help you in so many different ways. And so I just think that, spreading awareness to that and seeing that athletes are just so eager to jump on board and do that, I think is really, really powerful. And I know it'll impact a lot of people.
Absolutely. That's all I got, but I'm glad we could finish it on an important message like that, you guys.
Thanks, Eliav.
And thank you for tuning into Bleacher Talk. We appreciate your support. Remember, on Friday night, tag hashtag Bleacher Talk. We'd love to feature you in our social spotlight. And can't wait for another week with this crew.